How must it have felt for John Ross, chief of the Cherokee, to stand on that cold December morning in 1835 before the great council house, realizing that the centuries-old era of his ancestors' sovereign governance was crumbling because of a single stroke of the pen on a fraudulent treaty at New Ekata? At that moment, the frosty wind ruffled the hem of his European coat, but the leader's gaze was fixed on the ancient, perfectly fitted logs that had weathered decades of harsh trials. This dramatic scene marked the beginning of the end for the unique civilization of the Southeast, which had managed to subdue the harsh climate of the Appalachians. The architectural masterpieces of the Native Americans had withstood the whims of nature for centuries, serving as a reliable shelter for entire generations. It was within these sturdy walls that the Native Americans made fateful decisions, striving to protect their sovereignty and shield their communities from the looming catastrophe. Many modern researchers still mistakenly believe that the indigenous peoples of North America used only mobile types of dwellings. This misconception deprives us of the opportunity to appreciate the true scale of the engineering genius of sedentary agricultural societies. The study of these unique construction techniques reveals a completely different picture of ancient America, one filled with monumental solutions and sophisticated mathematical calculations. Failing to analyze these structures in detail deprives modern people of valuable lessons in sustainable and durable architecture. We are overlooking a crucial layer of cultural heritage that was shaped over hundreds of years under conditions of geographical isolation. Today's in-depth analysis will allow us to completely rethink our conventional notions about the capabilities of the ancient masters of the Southeast. We will immerse ourselves in the unique world of the art of construction, where every structural element had a specific functional purpose. Our story will touch not only on dry technical details, but also on the fates of specific historical leaders who stood guard over their people. This episode will be a true revelation for anyone who appreciates authentic, unadulterated history and monumental civilizational achievements. Watch the video to the end, and you'll learn how the Cherokee built homes that stood for 50 winters, withstanding the most severe frost, without modern insulation materials. The climate of the mountainous southeastern United States often brings unpleasant surprises in the form of sudden temperature swings and squally winds. Unlike the arid plains, the forested slopes of the Appalachians required the local inhabitants to build monumental, permanent shelters. The Cherokee could not afford the luxury of a nomadic lifestyle, as their economy was entirely based on intensive agriculture. Permanent fields of corn, beans, and squash firmly anchored communities to specific locations on the region's map. Long-term spatial planning became a key factor in the survival of this distinctive forest civilization. Each settlement was designed to function continuously for many years under the harsh conditions of the winter months. The traditional worldview of this people dictated a clear division of living space into sacred and utilitarian zones. A permanent dwelling was perceived not merely as physical shelter from adverse weather conditions, but as a microcosm reflecting the structure of the universe. The ground for the future structure was carefully cleared and leveled, using primitive but effective hand tools. Craftsmen aligned the corners of the structure with the cardinal directions, striving to achieve harmony with the surrounding landscape. A sedentary lifestyle fostered a particular attention to the quality of the materials used, which were gathered during strictly defined seasons. This approach ensured that the foundation laid would serve as the basis for the secure existence of several generations of a single extended family. The layout of a typical Cherokee settlement differed strikingly from the chaotic encampments of the nomadic tribes of the Great Plains. The architectural centerpiece, a massive circular council house, was always located at the very center of the fortified town. Individual residential compounds, protected by a sturdy wooden palisade, were arranged in concentric circles around this central square. Each homestead consisted of two fundamentally different structures, designed for the warm and cold seasons, respectively. This duality of living space allowed for the most effective adaptation to the seasonal changes of the harsh local climate. The permanent nature of the structures required a colossal labor investment from the entire community during the initial construction phase. Winter in the Appalachians is characterized not only by low temperatures, but also by extremely high humidity coming in from the ocean. Wet, heavy snow and freezing rain placed extreme stress on roofing systems and the load-bearing frames of buildings. Conventional lightweight structures made of bark or animal hides would instantly become unusable under the influence of such climatic factors. The Cherokee were forced to develop a unique technology capable of resisting the rotting and freezing of walls. The indigenous people's engineering approach focused on creating the most airtight interior possible. Protection from the biting winds seeping through even the tiniest cracks was the top priority in the design of winter dwellings. Ancient builders approached timber harvesting with a strict focus on environmental management and a careful regard for the forest. Specific tree species were selected based on their natural resistance to moisture and pests. The process of drying and preparing the logs could take many months before construction actually began. The community clearly divided responsibilities between experienced master builders and young apprentices undergoing on-the-job training. Construction was never the work of a single family. It always mobilized the resources of the entire clan. Collective responsibility for the quality of the dwelling being built ensured strict adherence to all technical details. The interior layout of the house was governed by strict rules of social hierarchy and functional practicality. The hearth invariably occupied the central place and was never allowed to go completely out during the cold season. All the daily activities of the members of the extended family centered around this source of heat. The floor of the dwelling was covered with special mats made of split reeds, which provided additional insulation from the cold ground. The interior walls were coated with an extra layer of light-colored clay to improve lighting by reflecting the fire's glow. Every item in the house had its own strictly designated space, which helped maintain perfect order. The first European explorers, who ventured deep into the continent in the 16th century, were amazed by the thoroughness of these Native American settlements. Their journals contained detailed descriptions of massive defensive walls and warm, dry houses that surpassed many European huts in comfort. The travelers noted that a pleasant microclimate prevailed inside these dwellings, even during the fiercest blizzards. The reliability of these structures allowed the Cherokee to keep substantial food supplies completely dry throughout the winter. Architectural stability served as a solid foundation for the development of a complex social structure and a rich spiritual culture. Without these engineering achievements, the survival of such a large population in this region would have been impossible. The tribe's political life was inextricably linked to the architectural capabilities of their settlements. The ability to gather hundreds of people under one secure roof during the winter cold determined the effectiveness of the governing system. Councils of elders could meet for weeks on end without being distracted by daily hardships or the vagaries of the weather. Sturdy walls provided protection not only from the cold, but also from possible sudden attacks by hostile neighbors. Every large building was constructed as a potential defensive stronghold, capable of withstanding a prolonged siege. Engineering expertise served as a key instrument of Cherokee geopolitical dominance in the region. The tradition of building these 50-year-old houses began to gradually fade only under the intense pressure of colonial expansion. The influx of European goods and the forced alteration of their traditional way of life dealt a severe blow to this ancient craft. However, the memory of their ancestors' techniques lived on in oral traditions and the stories of the tradition's keepers. Modern archaeological excavations confirm the incredible precision and durability of these ancient construction methods. Every foundation of an old house that is uncovered reveals new facets of the craftsmanship of the Southeast's vanished builders. These silent monuments of the past compel us to regard the intellectual potential of Native Americans with the utmost respect. I'd love to hear your perspective. What do you think about the ability of indigenous peoples to create such durable architectural structures without using metal tools or modern building materials? Please share your thoughts in the comments. In the first half of the 18th century, an outstanding diplomat and statesman named Ataculpa, whose name translated as Little Carpenter, rose to prominence among the Cherokee leaders. This man possessed a phenomenal understanding not only of political processes, but also of his people's building traditions. He earned his nickname for his remarkable ability to metaphorically assemble sturdy structures from disparate opinions during community councils. In 1730, as part of an official delegation, he visited London, where he personally studied the monumental stone architecture of the British Empire. Upon returning to his homeland, the chief realized that the preservation of his people's sovereignty depended directly on the stability of their permanent settlements and the strength of their infrastructure. He became the leading ideologue of the modernization of traditional Cherokee wooden architecture during the colonial period. Ataculpa understood perfectly well that Europeans respected only those peoples who possessed sturdy, permanent towns and well-developed institutions of government. He actively used the grandeur of the main Cherokee council houses to his advantage during important diplomatic negotiations with British governors. Sturdy winter structures, capable of standing for 50 years, served as irrefutable proof of the Native Americans' ancestral rights to these rich territories. The chief personally oversaw the renovation of key buildings in the sacred city of Chota, which was the political heart of the Confederacy. His decisions were always based on a balance between preserving ancient sacred engineering traditions and incorporating useful European tools. Little Carpenter transformed architecture into a powerful instrument of foreign policy that defended the borders of his homeland. This leader was characterized by remarkable composure, pragmatism, and a deep strategic vision of the future. He often repeated at council meetings that a house is only as strong as the logs in its foundation, drawing a direct analogy to the unity of the 7 Cherokee clans. The chief encouraged the communities to devote significant resources to maintaining the defensive capabilities of their settlements. Under his leadership, a large-scale construction project was undertaken to build new winter homes, protected from increasingly frequent raids and severe weather events. He understood that a warrior who was well-fed and warm in a secure shelter could defend his land far more effectively than a hunter worn out by a nomadic lifestyle. His authority allowed him to mobilize hundreds of people for logging and the construction of monumental public buildings. Colonial officials from South Carolina repeatedly noted in their reports that negotiating with Attaculacola was extremely difficult due to his deep understanding of practical matters. He demanded high-quality metal axes and saws from traders, which were immediately put to use for the tribe's defensive and civilian construction needs. Thanks to his efforts, the pace of construction of sturdy winter homes increased several-fold without compromising their traditional durability. The chief sought to establish the boundaries of Cherokee territory by creating a dense network of permanent, well-fortified settlements. Each settlement capable of surviving half a century became an indestructible boundary marker of the Native American sovereign territory. Little Carpenter's diplomacy was inextricably linked to the builder's axe and the architect's wisdom. During times of great hardship, when internal conflicts and epidemics of European diseases undermined the Confederacy's strength, Attaculacola found solace in creation. He personally participated in the reconstruction of Chota's destroyed neighborhoods, setting an example of true service to the community for the young warriors. The leader insisted that ancient recipes for preparing protective clay plaster be strictly followed during the construction of new winter shelters. He understood that the loss of these secret techniques would lead to the rapid deterioration of the housing stock and, as a result, to the loss of control over the region. The chief's wisdom helped maintain the society's internal stability amid the most severe external pressures. He left behind a strong, well-organized nation with a developed building tradition. The Little Carpenter's life story became a striking example of how one person can influence the material culture of an entire macro region. His reforms enabled the Cherokee to successfully adapt to new economic realities while preserving their identity. Houses built during his reign were distinguished by their exceptional comfort and incredible resistance to rot. The chief managed to prove that the traditional technologies of the Southeast were in no way inferior to their European counterparts of the time. His name has gone down in history as a symbol of engineering ingenuity and unparalleled diplomatic skill. The legacy of this great builder continued to serve his people for many decades after his passing. The durability of these structures amazed his contemporaries. But what exactly was the main structural secret behind these circular fortresses capable of withstanding the test of time? To understand this, we need to look beneath the massive roof of a traditional winter house and examine its hidden framework. The Cherokee Winter House, known in the local language as an osi or asi, was a masterpiece of ancient aerodynamics and thermal engineering. Construction began by excavating the ground to a depth of 1 to 3 feet, which allowed the natural heat of the earth to serve as additional insulation. The circular shape of the building was no accident, as it minimized the surface area of the walls exposed to the cold outside air. The absence of sharp corners prevented the formation of vortices, allowing fierce winter winds to literally glide over the surface of the structure without causing any damage. The central framework consisted of 4 sturdy wooden posts, deeply embedded in the ground at the very center of the future dwelling. These supports were connected by heavy crossbeams, forming the indestructible core of the entire structure. Around the perimeter of the foundation pit, at equal distances from one another, additional vertical posts of smaller diameter, made of sturdy locust or oak wood, were driven into the ground. These outer posts were slightly angled inward toward the building, creating a conical silhouette capable of withstanding immense vertical pressure. The craftsmen used a unique system of flexible ties, made from hazel and willow branches, to create a sturdy wall framework. Thin twigs were woven between the vertical posts, with incredible density, resembling a giant basket. This weaving technique provided the frame with excellent elasticity, which was critically important in the event of ground subsidence or minor earthquakes. The structure was light, flexible, and incredibly strong, capable of supporting the enormous weight of the future roof. Particular attention was paid to the design of the entrance area, which was conceived as a complex labyrinth to channel cold air. The low, narrow corridor leading into the central axis was often curved to prevent the wind from entering the interior directly. A person had to bend over significantly, or even crawl to get inside, which also served an important defensive function. A special protective canopy was built over the entrance to divert streams of rainwater and melting snow away from the doorway. The door was made from a thick piece of tree bark, or heavy hide, fitted tightly against the door jambs to prevent even the slightest drafts. This engineering feature ensured that precious heat was retained during the harshest nights of the year. The roof system was constructed using long poles converging at a single point above the central hearth. At the very top of the cone, a small opening was left for smoke to escape, designed to account for the direction of prevailing winds. The roof's pitch was calculated so that heavy snow would not remain on it for too long, creating an excessive load. The poles were securely tied to the supporting frame, using extremely strong ropes made from the inner layer of linden bark. Experienced builders checked each joint for play and to ensure it was securely fastened. The strength of the roof was key to the durability of the entire structure, which was designed to protect people for half a century. The interior of the house had no partitions, which allowed for the unimpeded circulation of warm air from the central hearth. A special low earthen embankment was built around the hearth to prevent sparks from accidentally flying onto the dry reed mats. The outer part of the roof was covered with a thick layer of dry grass, reeds, and tree bark, laid in an overlapping pattern similar to modern roof tiles. On top of this organic layer was a massive layer of earth and sod, which could be up to 2 feet thick. The earthen embankment not only provided unmatched thermal insulation, but also served as reliable protection against accidental fires caused by sparks from the chimney. The building literally blended into the surrounding hilly landscape, becoming invisible to potential enemies. The construction of the OC required deep empirical knowledge in the fields of material science and waterproofing. Cherokee master builders passed down from generation to generation the precise proportions of the components needed to create a durable protective shell. Each stage of construction was subject to strict oversight by the clan elders, who served as chief engineers. An incorrectly installed post or a poorly tensioned rope could lead to the catastrophic collapse of the entire structure under the weight of winter snow. The architectural tradition of the axis had been refined over centuries, weeding out any ineffective or unreliable solutions. The roundhouse was the quintessence of practical ingenuity and a deep understanding of the laws of physics. The unique geometry of the axis allowed it to withstand enormous mechanical loads, but the main secret to the wall's durability was the special material covering the frame from the outside. The carefully selected composition of the clay mixture transformed the house's light, woven wickerwork into a monolithic stone citadel. The phenomenal durability of the Cherokee winter houses was based on the use of a unique wall plastering technique known as wattle and daub. Craftsmen prepared a special mortar from local red clay, finely ground river silt, and pure spring water. Organic binding agents, such as dry grass, pine needles, and wool, were always added to this viscous mixture. These fibrous additives served as a kind of reinforcing framework, preventing the clay from cracking as it dried and during sudden temperature fluctuations. The finished mortar was applied to the wattle and daub walls in a thick layer on both the exterior and interior sides of the building. The builders literally pressed the clay into the wattle cells by hand, ensuring absolute monolithic integrity and the complete absence of voids. The plaster dried under natural conditions, a process that took several weeks and required constant supervision by the master builders. Any small cracks that appeared were immediately filled with fresh mortar containing a high proportion of fine river sand. After it had completely dried, the clay shell was subjected to controlled firing by lighting fires around the perimeter of the building. Under the influence of high temperatures, the clay transformed into a durable ceramic mass, impervious to the destructive effects of moisture. This process required the highest level of craftsmanship to prevent the internal wooden frame from catching fire. The resulting walls possessed a unique ability to accumulate heat during the day and slowly release it into the interior on cold nights. Before being set into the ground, the load-bearing wooden posts underwent a special chemical thermal treatment to prevent rot. The lower end of each log was charred over a fire until a dense layer of charcoal formed, which acts as a natural antiseptic. The charred surface was then impregnated with hot pine resin and animal fat, creating an impenetrable barrier against soil moisture and harmful insects. The bark of certain tree species resistant to fungal attack was used as additional protection. Cherokee builders never used freshly cut wood, preferring logs that had been seasoned in dry conditions for at least 12 months. These preventive measures ensured that the underground portion of the frame would retain its strength for 50 years. The roof structure was designed with the need for absolute waterproofing and protection against freezing in mind. A thick layer of turf, laid over the clay roof coating, functioned as a living ecosystem that anchored the surface with plant roots. In the summer, this grass turned green, protecting the house from overheating, and in the winter it dried out, trapping falling snow and providing additional natural insulation. Over time, the turf's root system formed a dense, impermeable carpet that remained intact even during the most torrential downpours. Excess moisture was effectively drained away from the base of the walls thanks to a properly designed drainage system made of river stones laid around the building. 50 winters of operation were not an exception, but the standard service life for such high-tech structures. The structure was so airtight that there were absolutely no drafts inside the house, the main cause of hypothermia. The only source of fresh air was a low doorway, through which oxygen flowed to the base of the central hearth. This ventilation system ensured ideal fuel combustion without the production of carbon monoxide or excessive smoke. The building's walls did not require annual major repairs. The community limited itself to a light cosmetic whitewashing with white clay in the spring. Reliable protection from external factors minimized the amount of wood needed for heating, which helped preserve the forest resources surrounding the settlement. The design principles behind the structure's durability were the result of hundreds of years of practical observations and successful experiments by ancient engineers. The architectural stability of these structures created reliable conditions for the development of the community's complex internal life. In the next chapter, you will learn how living space was distributed among members of a large Native American family, and exactly how many people could be inside this warm earthen fortress at the same time during the winter months. The interior space of the OC was designed as a single social arc, capable of providing a comfortable existence for a large extended family. A standard Cherokee winter house had a diameter of 20 to 30 feet, which allowed it to accommodate 10 to 15 people at a time. During periods of extreme cold or military threats, up to 20 residents could temporarily gather under the roof of a single structure. All inhabitants of the house belonged to the same matrilineal lineage, which dictated strict internal order and discipline. The living space was clearly divided into zones by low wooden platforms installed along the walls of the building. These platforms served simultaneously as places for sleeping, resting, and storing the personal belongings of each member of the family community. The central hearth burned around the clock, serving as the main source of heat and the sacred focal point of the house. The responsibility for maintaining the fire fell to the elder women of the clan, who held the highest social status in Cherokee society. Men spent most of the winter hunting or attending council meetings, returning to the oasis to rest and sleep. Food was prepared in large clay pots, placed directly on the hot coals of the central fire. Shared meals strengthened family ties and helped maintain an ideal psychological atmosphere within the confined space. The absence of interior walls was offset by strict adherence to etiquette and mutual respect for each resident's privacy. Hygiene standards inside the OC were maintained at a high level thanks to the regular replacement of bedding materials. Traditional mats made of reeds and corn leaves were periodically taken outside for airing out and disinfection by cold. The use of white clay plaster on the interior walls effectively combated mold and excessive moisture. The indoor microclimate remained dry and warm even when a blizzard raged outside, with temperatures below -20 degrees. Clothing and bedding, made from expertly tanned deer and bison hides, were stored on special upper shelves, protected from moisture. Life inside the house followed a strict seasonal rhythm designed to maximize energy conservation. The Cherokee social structure prevented protracted internal conflicts thanks to a clear division of roles. The senior woman, who headed the household, had the final say in all domestic matters. She coordinated food supplies, assigned responsibilities for maintaining order, and ensured that ancient traditions were observed. The winter months were used to pass down the oral historical heritage, when the older generation recounted myths and legends. Young people mastered the intricacies of crafts by observing experienced artisans at work right by the fire. The household functioned as an autonomous educational and productive unit, capable of perpetuating the people's culture under any circumstances. Food supplies, consisting of dried corn, smoked meat, and nuts, were stored in special woven baskets suspended from the roof's supporting beams. This arrangement protected the food from dampness and small forest pests. The efficient use of every square inch of space helped prevent the interior from becoming cluttered. The Cherokee valued freedom of movement within the structure, creating an interior that was as ergonomic as possible. The sturdiness of the walls gave the inhabitants an unshakable sense of security, essential for the community's healthy psychological development. The winter house served as the solid foundation upon which the entire structure of traditional Native American society rested. The solidity and durability of the winter axis became particularly evident when comparing this structure to other types of Native American dwellings. And in a moment, we'll examine in detail how this 50-year-old house differed from the light, temporary shelters used during seasonal hunting expeditions. The Cherokee architectural complex was based on a clear division of structures according to their functional purpose and seasonal use. The summer house, unlike the winter house, was rectangular in shape, with light bark walls and a canopy to provide shade from the sun. However, a true engineering chasm lay between the permanent winter dwelling and the light hunting shelters. During long autumn and winter expeditions, men were forced to set up temporary camps deep in the remote taiga. These structures, known as semi-dugouts or shelters, were built from hastily gathered branches, spruce branches, and coniferous bark. The lifespan of such a shelter rarely exceeded a few weeks, and its thermal insulation properties were extremely poor. These temporary shelters were designed for maximum speed of construction at the expense of comfort and durability. Hunters spent no more than 2 to 3 hours building a camp, using a minimal set of tools. The frame, made of thin poles, was covered with animal hides or lined with branches, which could not provide reliable protection against fierce winds. There was always a draft inside such a shelter, and smoke from the campfire often filled the entire interior due to poor ventilation. Any serious blizzard could bury the temporary shelter in snow, forcing people to constantly clear the roof. The contrast between the damp, cold shelter and the dry, warm OC clearly demonstrated the superiority of Cherokee permanent architecture. A permanent home required a colossal initial investment of labor from the entire community, but it paid for itself with decades of flawless service. An OC was built once every 50 years, sparing the family the need for annual renewal of their housing stock. Temporary shelters were destroyed by the forces of nature almost immediately after people left the campsite. The mobile dwellings of the nomadic tribes of the Great Plains, such as the Tipi, were superbly adapted for rapid movement, but were inferior to the OC in terms of durability. The earthen walls of a Cherokee winter house created an unmatched acoustic and thermal barrier that fabric or leather tents could not provide. The engineering tradition of the Southeast prioritized absolute stability and the monumentality of living spaces. The difference in approaches to construction reflected fundamental differences in the mentalities of sedentary farmers and nomadic hunters. The Cherokee viewed their land as a permanent homestead, requiring high-quality, long-term development. Every log laid in the foundation of the axis became part of a tangible manifestation of their rights to that territory. A temporary dwelling was merely a compromise with circumstances, a necessary evil during brief absences from their home village. Returning to their permanent roundhouse was always celebrated as a festival and a return to the safe haven of civilization. Monumental architecture served as the primary marker of the high level of material culture among this forest-dwelling people. Historical chronicles confirm that the Cherokee never considered the possibility of transitioning to a fully nomadic way of life, even during periods of brutal warfare. Their defensive strategy centered on protecting their permanent wooden fortified towns. The ability of these structures to withstand many years of use allowed them to accumulate material wealth and develop sophisticated crafts. Temporary dwellings remained on the periphery of the cultural landscape, serving an exclusively auxiliary role. The unity of engineering standards sustained the shared identity of the Confederation's 7 clans across time and space. The stability of the hearth was the primary condition for the nation's survival. Outstanding engineering solutions, honed in the construction of individual dwellings, found their fullest expression in the erection of major public buildings. Now we will travel to the central square of the sacred city of Chota to see how the great council house functioned during the most dramatic moments of history. In the heart of the Cherokee Mountain region, on the banks of the Little Tennessee River, lay Chota, an ancient refuge and the sacred capital of the Confederacy. In the winter of 1775, this city became the arena for fierce political disputes, the outcome of which would determine the future of the entire nation. The enormous council house, built using the same techniques as the Aussie, but with a gigantic diameter of over 60 feet, was packed with people. Outside, a January blizzard raged, burying the wooden fortifications under heavy snow. But inside this architectural colossus, warmth and absolute silence reigned. On a central platform by a huge bonfire sat the renowned war chief Okonostita, whose body bore the scars of countless past battles. Beside him sat his niece, Nancy Ward, who held the sacred title of beloved woman, whose word could stop any war. On this day, the council was discussing the disastrous treaty proposed by Richard Henderson, who was attempting to buy up the Cherokees' vast hunting grounds in Kentucky for a pittance. Leaning on a heavy ceremonial axe, Okonostita addressed the assembly with a speech filled with deep concern for the fate of future generations. He pointed to the sturdy, centuries-old pillars of the House of Councils, reminding them that these walls had stood for 50 winters thanks to the wisdom of their ancestors, who had not yielded a single inch of their native land. The great chief urged the young warriors not to fall for the tricks of the white traders and to remain united in the face of mortal danger. His powerful voice echoed beneath the massive arches of the earthen roof, sending shivers through the hearts of those present. The architectural grandeur of the building underscored the sacred importance of the decisions being made at that moment. Nancy Ward, drawing on her supreme spiritual authority, spoke as the voice of reason and diplomatic compromise. She reminded the council that the primary task of engineering and politics is to preserve human lives and maintain peace within the warm home. Her diplomatic efforts were aimed at preventing immediate bloodshed, which could have led to the complete destruction of the Native American towns. The beloved woman emphasized that, as long as their sacred poles stood and new clan members were born, the Cherokee culture would remain invincible. The discussions continued late into the night, as the flames of the central hearth slowly died down, turning into smoldering embers. The unique atmosphere of the council house allowed the leaders to avoid an immediate split in the Confederacy at that critical historical moment. This snow-covered council in Chota demonstrated to the entire world the highest level of political culture and diplomatic artistry among Native Americans. The council building served not merely as a utilitarian space, but as the physical embodiment of Cherokee statehood. The ability to coordinate the actions of dozens of autonomous settlements under one roof was the chief achievement of their civilization. British observers present at the assembly noted with surprise the ideal order and strict adherence to the rules of procedure. Every participant in the discussion had the opportunity to express their opinion without fear of persecution or disrespect from opponents. Architectural stability fostered the stability of government institutions. The tragedy of the situation lay in the fact that external pressure from the colonial world was mounting with each passing year, disregarding any peaceful agreements. Even the strongest walls could not protect against the coming era of total upheaval on the continent. Okonostita and Nancy Ward embodied two different approaches to saving the nation: armed resistance and flexible diplomacy. Their joint efforts helped buy the precious time needed for society to adapt to the harsh new realities. The great House of Councils in Chota remains forever etched in the people's memory as a symbol of the pinnacle of their sovereign architecture and political independence. This historic scene became a turning point that determined the region's trajectory for many decades to come. The dawning 19th century brought with it unprecedented challenges that forced the Cherokee to radically restructure not only their political system, but also to alter the traditional building techniques of their ancestors. The onset of mass European colonization of the Southeast was marked by severe upheavals for the traditional building culture of the indigenous peoples. During numerous frontier conflicts and the American Revolutionary War, Native American settlements were subjected to deliberate destruction by regular armies. The highly flammable earthen roofs of the oasis, despite their thickness, became vulnerable when the colonizers used incendiary projectiles. Many ancient cities that had stood for centuries were burned to the ground during the last quarter of the 18th century. This catastrophic experience forced the Cherokee to rethink their defensive and architectural concepts. Communities began to gradually move away from concentrating their populations in large fortified centers, shifting toward a scattered settlement pattern. During this critical period, master builders demonstrated remarkable flexibility of thought, actively adopting European construction technologies. The traditional roundhouse gave way to rectangular log cabins made of hewn logs, following Swedish and German models. However, the Cherokee did not simply copy foreign designs. Rather, they integrated their deep knowledge of local waterproofing and thermal engineering into them. They continued to use secret mixtures of clay plaster with organic fibers to seal the joints between the logs in the new rectangular houses. The new dwellings were more spacious, brighter, and better suited for the use of metal hardware and glass windows. The speed of construction for such buildings increased significantly, which made it possible to quickly rebuild the housing stock after wartime destruction. The tribe's political leadership, represented by the revitalized Council of Elders, actively encouraged the adoption of advanced agricultural and construction practices. The Cherokee sought to prove their civilization to the U.S. government in order to preserve their legal rights to their ancestral lands. During this period, many leaders began building monumental two-story houses made of sawn timber and brick, which were in no way inferior to the estates of Georgia's wealthy planters. The transition to new architectural forms was accompanied by a fundamental upheaval in the social structure of the extended family. The traditional circular social structure was becoming a thing of the past, giving way to individual homes for nuclear families. However, respect for the quality of building materials and the durability of structures remained an unwavering priority for local craftsmen. The trials by fire of the colonial wars inflicted irreparable damage on the material heritage of the Southeast, destroying thousands of unique monuments of ancient engineering. Along with the walls of the old OC, many sacred rituals associated with their foundation and consecration were also lost. The elders, who had guarded the secrets of the optimal firing of clay walls, passed away without having had the chance to pass on their knowledge to their apprentices amid their constant flight. The new architectural reality demanded different skills, focused on individual commercial success and rapid integration into the global economy. The Cherokee made an unprecedented civilizational leap, transforming from forest-dwelling farmers into successful farmers and entrepreneurs. Their new towns, such as New Ekata, were built according to regular plans using the European classical style. Despite these external changes, the spirit of engineering continuity lived on in the minds of the tribe's intellectual elite. The desire to document and preserve the nation's heritage took on new, completely unexpected forms. Next, we will see how one man was able to bring about the greatest revolution in the history of indigenous peoples by creating a unique tool for preserving cultural memory. In the early 19th century, there lived among the Cherokee a humble metalworker and self-taught genius named Sequoyah, who went down in history as the creator of a unique national writing system. Without knowing a single European language, this man worked tirelessly for 12 years to develop a syllabic alphabet consisting of 85 characters. He was characterized by incredible perseverance, a penchant for solitude, and deep philosophical contemplation. Sequoyah fully understood that, in the face of rapid assimilation, his people were doomed to disappear unless their knowledge was preserved on a durable medium. The writing system he created was officially adopted by the tribe in 1821, causing a sensation in the world of linguistics. Within just a few months, the literacy rate among the Cherokee surpassed that of the neighboring white population. Sequoyah's alphabet instantly became a powerful tool for preserving the ancient engineering and medical knowledge of their ancestors. Oral construction instructions, recipes for making durable clay plaster, and rules for harvesting timber began to be recorded en masse in the new language. Literate craftsmen gained the ability to exchange blueprints and technical secrets over vast distances without needing to meet in person. Sequoyah personally traveled to remote communities, teaching people to read and write, and helping to document vanishing layers of material culture. Thanks to his titanic efforts, the construction methods for 50-year-old axles were saved from complete oblivion. The written word became a new sturdy wall defending the mental boundaries of Native American sovereignty. This outstanding educator viewed his linguistic system as a logical extension of his people's traditional architectural logic. He often compared letters to the load-bearing posts of a framework, and phrases to the sturdy weaving of branches that holds the clay plaster of meaning in place. Sequoyah helped the nation find a unique voice in a colonial world dominated by the English-language press. The first Native American newspaper, *The Phoenix*, began publication in New Echota, printed simultaneously in 2 languages. Articles on the modernization of agriculture and the improvement of civil engineering standards were regularly published in its pages. Sequoyah's work proved to the entire world that the intellectual potential of Native Americans is capable of solving problems of any level of complexity. The final chapter of this genius's life was marked by a ceaseless search for scattered groups of his people across the vast expanses of the continent. He set out westward, striving to unite all Cherokee communities through the writing system he had created. His name has become a symbol of cultural revival and an unyielding determination to preserve national identity. Today, California's giant trees bear his name, reminding humanity of the magnitude of this Native American enlightener's character. Sequoyah proved that ink and paper can be no less durable than the fired clay of ancient winter axes. His legacy continues to be a source of pride for many generations of Native Americans. However, no civilizational achievements, high literacy rates, or magnificent farms could stop the ruthless U.S. government machine, which was determined to seize the fertile lands of the Southeast. Ahead lay the most terrible ordeal in the nation's history, one that forever separated people from the homes of their ancestors. In summarizing our extensive historical research, we see that traditional Cherokee architecture was an outstanding civilizational achievement. The Osage Winter House, capable of effortlessly withstanding the onslaught of 50 harsh winters, embodied the ideal balance between practical engineering and a deep understanding of the laws of nature. The fates of great leaders such as Atacolacola, Oconostota, Sequoyah, and John Ross clearly demonstrate that the material culture of indigenous peoples developed an inseparable connection with their political struggle for independence. The experience of this forest-dwelling people proves that a society's true strength lies in its ability to preserve and pass down unique technological knowledge through generations, despite any external catastrophes. We have witnessed a human journey of immense resilience, forged through the centuries and trials. What do you think of today's topic, dedicated to the unique engineering secrets and the tragic fate of the builders of the southeastern United States? Share your thoughts on which of the Cherokee master builders' engineering solutions impressed you the most in the comments below this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give it a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss new in-depth explorations of the hidden pages of world history and culture.